Well, I think there's also a concern, always a concern when you put a tax or a price cap on something, that the extra burden will go to the consumer. I think we can work around it, making sure that that doesn't happen to such a large degree. And also here, the market forces are also making the equivalent. But I think also the key for me is that there's one thing on like the consumers and the people using the products, but it's also on ensuring that this market doesn't overheat. And here, I think the financial transaction tax can be a good instrument. I think the considerations of Jeremy are quite important. We discussed it also in the case of climate and carbon leakage. But I think it's important that we don't limit ourselves because of other people or other countries. Like in the European Union, we didn't succeed to have an agreement on the FTT. And then 10 countries went together to make this stronger enhanced cooperation. And I think it's important that we still do that, because like we need to fight for what we believe in, even if it's like a small thing like the FTT, but fight in what we believe in, and not wait until everyone is on board with our idea. Then the world never change. I don't know the case of Sweden that well, but I think in general also in regards to the reply to Jeremy, I think it's important that we do what we think is right. And I think like if the Nordic countries made an agreement on the FTT, that would be a step forward. And then if the European Union did it, it would be an even further step. And if OECD did it, it would be really just getting there. So I think having more countries doing this is always a good idea. But even if we can't succeed with that, I think it's important that the individual countries show the way. But then going to also to the case of Sweden, which, as I said, I don't know that much. I think it's still important to look at the different experiences from different countries. That's always necessary in politics. Well, I think the good and the bad thing about economics is that you can always find different economics saying different things. I studied economics in Copenhagen for a short while, and like the empirical data and the calculations that you made were always different compared to who sent out the data. So I think I wouldn't be as worried in regards to the revenues. But even though this would be the case, I think there's like, I don't want a financial transaction tax because of the tax revenue. I want it because I think it's the fair way of doing, or like making a tax system. So for me, it's more about like the ideological discussion on how do we make a fair and progressive or ideologically right tax system. And then also the more like practical thing is the aspect of the financial markets and not letting them overheat. That's more important for me. So that's like my main arguments. And then of course, if you care more about the state revenues, your arguments would be different.